You've just talked about facing the confrontation, and that it is through this that we wake up to the reality life is. Um, I'll give a practical example of what you've just said, and it occurred last week in a group, in a Facebook group where I belong. In fact, it is a group of classmates, like a class meeting or something like that. Yeah, class meeting, a class group. And so everybody shares things left and right. Mostly, in fact, I'm really bored. I don't know. I wanted to delete myself from the group, but, I just decided to stay on because one is choked with these messages. Oh, there's a good morning in the name of Jesus, this and that and that. I'm so fatigued by all these messages, but I don't know whether it ever occurs to them that some other people could be different. And so I just made a comment on one of the person's, one classmate's posts. I talked about Jesus being the way, the truth, and the life, this and that and that. So I just replied. I told him, I said, well, it would have been better if you said personally that you are the way, the truth, and the life, and the life, and that you come to the Father or whatever through yourself and not through any other person. Oh my God. They wanted to lynch me in the group. I've been taken as a pariah, as an atheist. First, they know me as an atheist, and they are really sad for me that I don't believe in God. They are really scandalized. He doesn't believe in God, and they make so many innuendos, so many oblique comments that are insultive, that can keep me ill at ease. But they think because they believe in God and I don't believe in God, they have the license to hurl anything at me. See, because I'm the goat amongst the sheep. And so, again, I thought of leaving the group, but I said I will stay on. I will stay on and fight them through true knowledge. So, what you've said is something that you are saying from concrete examples, and we see that being evidence in our lives too. So, talking about being the way, the truth, and the life, like I told the group that it was better to say it that way. So I don't know whether Duane can comment on this a little bit.
Oh yes, Charles, it's always fun. So again, you really got to take the time and to really look at these things and look at it from every angle. Okay, look at these ideas from every angle. So let's just take the God idea, and I've said it many times. And you look at that, and first of all, when you go out into the world, are you looking for agreement? Well, agreement's nice, isn't it? But for the most part, realistically, with what we're presenting, you're not going to get it. You're going to get everything far from that. You've already experienced that many, many times, even when you're in the corporation, whatever. So again, does looking for agreement work? It's like looking for love, Does it work? It's a toughie, isn't it? All these things are toughies. So yeah, when we become the way, the life, the truth ourselves, then it's all fine. We're fine with it. We love ourselves. We do all these things ourselves. Well, into the world, looking for agreement, that's a toughie. So I've learned not to look for agreement. What I do look for is see if I can get some kind of agreement, but then at the same time I'm realistic, and that is that I am going to have confrontation. And actually, I look for the confrontation because through the confrontation, it just depends, what it is, etc. So it's like, two men meeting on the battlefield, you might say, and what they decide to do. They can discuss the situation. They can do that. Or they can, box each other, or they can go back to their platoons or whatever, and they can start shooting missiles and bombing each other. Okay, they have options to do whatever. So if it gets really bad, maybe then it's time to leave the scene. It just depends. And so we've got a couple situations here, and that is that when you go in to anything, you want to, I'm just creatively ready to see what's going on. Okay, if I decide to do this or whatever, it's like walking into a room, it's like walking into a bar. You got to be ready. Anything can happen, just like in the movies. All of a sudden, you're the out-of-towner, you're the tourist, and you're just looking to get a meal or a drink or something, and hey, the local saloon's the only thing in town, but on the outside you see all these motorcycles and whatever, so you walk in the bar, and all of a sudden, everybody looks at you. All the music stops, everybody looks at you, because you're different. And so you can do a song and a dance or an act or whatever. Eboke, you have to mute. That's King, sorry. You got to be ready for that. And we've seen it many times. The movies are a great example of being objective, to learning to be objective about things. So you're in this group, and the God idea, when you see all of a sudden somebody says, well, Jesus bless you or whatever, got it. So I'm ready for that. In other words, I'm confronted too, because otherwise all the attitudes start to come out. Oh, you're atheist, you're this or that, you're a non-believer, you work for the devil, whatever it is. Okay, all this stuff comes out because people are bored, and you're talking to the unaware masses is what you're talking. They don't have an awareness of the isness life is. They only have an awareness of all these little ideas they've collected, like bumper stickers and little stickums or whatever. This is what they've got. And so I'm always ready for that. It's very simple, really. And that is that, when people ask me, do you believe in God, or you believe in Jesus, or this or that, or whatever it is, are you a Republican or a Democrat, or did you vote? Whatever it is. My basic answer is I'm fine with everything. And, they'll even sometimes, a friend of mine who was a contractor, we used to joke around a lot, and he was rather religious, and he would joke with me, and he would say, you can't be fine with everything. And I would tell him, yes, I can, because I have free will. I can do whatever I want. I can be fine with everything. You see, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with everything. What the world destroying itself, I'm fine with it, because realistically, I can't interfere. You see, when you take sides, it's like, well, and besides, the gods already exist because people have decided they exist. And for the fun of it, I would say to these people, no, it's not a matter of belief, just to see it rattle their cage a little bit. It's like, you don't have to believe in your God, because God already is. You see? He already exists. So where is it belief comes in? You see? You have a little fun having them explain that. Well, you see, I also tell them, well, I know you're God, and it's fine. I know you're God, and he does exist. And so it's a matter that I don't need to believe in your God. Okay, if you wish to follow your God or whatever, and I see that I've met your God, I see he's whatever, and you can meet him too. Well, that's spooky to them. It's like, whoa, God's a mystery. We're not to meet him. He's to stay a mystery. Okay, yeah. And that's very real, isn't it? So you kind of have fun with these things. But when you're in agreement with whatever they're saying, then it's all fine. Then they can't say, well, you don't, is it, see, then they're going to ask you the question, something like, well, you don't believe in God? See, they're going to prompt you, just like when you're in an interrogation, they're going to do a little reverse psychology on you. So you're saying you don't believe in God. You see, they're not even listening to what you just said, where you said, I'm fine with everything. You see, that includes everything, okay? Nothing is left out, all right? But they're going to start making up things. And then I confront them with what they've just said. Well, you said that, and that's a good idea. It's all yours, all right? Something like that, you see? You've decided that, not me. I just throw it right back at them. So when they use that to actually try and persecute you and try and persuade you at the same time. It's a two-edged sword. So they'll say something like, because they won't even listen to what you said, they'll say something like, so you don't believe in God, is that it? You're a non-believer? It's, again, I'm fine with everything, and you can decide whatever you will, and I don't know where you get those ideas. Maybe you watch too much TV or something like that. It just depends upon the person. Sometimes I'm a little sarcastic because it agitates them a little bit. And I want to see how far they'll go. And I've done this with the ECUS and the members and higher initiates. And eventually, what I do is I let them go on 5 or 6 questions, whatever. And finally, I just say, prove it. Prove everything you said. And you know what? They can't. And then they're befuddled, Again, it's all a game we're playing. So, but you decide your confrontation and to, present this, how the challenges, just like a soldier out there, the challenges are huge and unexpected things. You got to watch everything. And still you don't. There's a sniper up there somewhere. Gets you. And this is where, we get things on the real side too, that people bug us, They bug me, they bug others. This is just how it is. And the boys aren't going to save our lives every time, So the thing being is that we need to build our strength too. Yeah. And so the entire Marine Corps, they're there, but just when Chris is out there alone, going through the bushes, doesn't mean they're there, okay, and they're just going to show up in 2 minutes. No, it's just not like that. So again, we each have to learn what we do. But that kind of works. You experiment with it, and then you don't have to deal with all the silliness, because then it becomes a literal debate that goes nowhere. It's more fun to creatively be prepared for the confrontation and then work it in a certain way to where it gets them, wondering about themselves, you might say, and, wondering about you. They can't quite figure you out, whatever. But they're still going to eventually label you. Yeah, they're just going to say, oh, you're a cultist, whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm fine with that too. As you agree to everything, that's it. And that's just how it's going to be, because you're dealing with the unaware. I don't look for agreement for the most part. I see who will just have the courage to just be real, just to make sense of things. Yeah, it's not necessarily agreement. Just, hey, if we're going to be in the conversation, just try and at least make sense of things. And, that's a toughie for most people, because they don't. They are more interested in the created fake issues of life on Earth, and the religions, the political system, the spiritual systems, educational, scientific. These are created issues. Did the Indians, did the birds have these things? No. Somebody has to mute here. Ava, help.
Sammy, yes? Oder ist es Navagu, Christian? You have to mute. Can you do this? Yeah, thank you. When you not can mute, then we have to put you away. So try it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, everybody should mute when they come on. Immediately, the first thing you do is not sit there and talk and make breakfast and clang up the kitchen. Mute. Just simply mute. Don't forget to mute. Yeah, it's a courtesy to everybody else besides we're recording this. And this is very important. I see this very important to the world. And that's why I take a lot of time, Charles, because you are prompting this and the world wants to know. But it takes a lot to get to the world because of how it is. We cannot make the world do anything, but we can present something wonderful that makes sense. Simply makes sense of things. And so when it comes to the God idea, that's a biggie in this world. Everyone should be prepared for that every moment because most people are with that idea. So be prepared. Again, I'm fine with everything. And I let people know. I even wrote several groups on it. You can meet your God, okay? And people can. And so again, see, you kind of throw the ball back in their court when they talk about belief. Well, belief is like hope. It leads to where? You just keep hoping, that's it, for your whole life. And well, I'm still hoping here. I'm 96 and I'm still hoping it'll happen. Well, again, hope, belief, and faith lead nowhere. But the actuality of doing something does. So you can tell them, hey, you can just kind of bring the conversation around, throw it back at them. It's like, would you like to meet your God? I've met your God and I'll show you how to do it. Yes, and you can be guided to meet your God. Sing the new you and Reb's Zartars. We'll show you and you can meet your God. Would you like to do that? You see, you ask them the question. See, and then you're not on the defensive. You're carrying the ball, but you're putting it back in their court to where they must, all of a sudden they're the center of attention. It's like, and what do they do with it? Are they going to hand it off or are they going to go forward? Yeah, this is the fun part. See, we can do anything. And you make it fun. So everybody can know their God because most people don't. They have no idea. Even in the corporation, the Mahanta and the God idea and all that, these people don't know what that is. That's a ghost. They have no idea what that is because life is recognition. They don't know how to recognize it. They only think in terms. It's like, oh, I'm a seventh initiate or a fifth or whatever. That's the thinking process. That's not an actual recognition of what is, the isness is. So, yes, you can have a lot of fun with these things, Charles. So then you don't have to go through all the foo-foo. Well, you still will, but you learn to kind of throw it back in their court and ask the question, would you like to meet your God? Come on, let's meet them together. Something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Duane, that was very enlightening. And giving one the way forward in this when confronted by such issues. Yeah, it's really strange when people hear you don't believe in God, and either take you for lost and a bad person, whatever bad means to them, and you are ostracized. You stay in a category of your own, and people are very skeptical about you. It has social implications, which we don't really care about getting on socially. So really, it's a toughie, as you say, for us to cope there with out there with this knowledge, with this with our ways, with our own ideas. To carve a niche for ourselves is difficult, because the moment people realize who you are, so the cult of Jesus, the cult of personality, just becomes wary of your presence, and you too, they make things difficult for you to stay in the group. So that is how it is.
Well, you start your own, Charles. You test it. You test the waters. We test many things, and Paul did too. A lot of years, you test different things, and eventually you fine tune it. That's all. So it's not that you're going to, join a group with a bunch of motorcycle riders and convince them to ride tricycles again. That's, it ain't going to happen. So what you do is you go start your own tricycle group, okay? And so this is what we're doing. You create your own, and realistically, reaching the world, it's actually better than it's ever been, because we're reaching billions of people, even though there are people out there that are using the new you that we don't even know, etc. More so than Paul ever did, because it's a very realistic environment here. And the internet, yes, it's cyberspace, but we do everything. So again, when confronted with these issues, basically the basic idea is we are fine with everything, okay? We acknowledge everything. Doesn't mean we support it. That's the difference. But we acknowledge everything, okay? The gods of man, the religions, all that. We acknowledge all this because we're in agreement with those people that have decided with their free will to decide that. And at the same time, we support the all-natural environment supporting us. So if they want to pick away at that, let them. And so all the things that I've written and said, and anything that anybody does out there, of course, it's broken down more. In other words, yes, you see the car, and it's all shiny and nice, and it's really cute. And then what you do is that if you want to see the whole car, then you start taking it apart piece by piece, and you see the 50,000 pieces that puts it together. So again, that's the writings, that's the talks, etc. But to put it in a nutshell, just like looking at the car, all complete and together, and that is that we're fine with everything, and we support the all-natural environment supporting us. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. And if they want to make something out of it, fine. But what we're doing is that we're taking the time to define it for those people that don't as yet have the understanding of what we're doing and what we're presenting. Yeah, it's very simple. So that becomes the adventure, doesn't it? Now you're not bored here. And of course, you're going to get confrontation, you're going to get questions, and pretty soon people are going to be interested. Well, okay, well, this means this and whatever. And eventually, yes, they do show up. But because the world is so distorted, again, you have to look at the huge distortion. It takes a lot for people to make sense, of this distortion they're in, because for the most part, the distortion has become a standard. You have to see that. It's become a standard to where distortion is fine. Hey, we're living in the atomic age. I'm surprised that everybody doesn't have a little atomic bomb in their house. It's like, oh, this is the end thing. We're in the atomic age. We all have atomic bombs. Yeah, I'm really surprised that we don't, but realistically we do. We got Wi-Fi. It's just as bad. We got all this other stuff. It's all lethal stuff, and we do have it, but it's become a standard. So when you bring something in that makes sense, well, again, it doesn't make sense with the distorted standard that's been agreed upon. So yes, it is a friggin' challenge. Nothing in this world makes sense. When you go outside, and I just walk at night especially. I like it at night because everybody's gone or asleep. And the thing is that I look at the trees, and I look at just the trees and the flowers and the bushes and all these things, and it's so real. The natural environment and the sky and the air you breathe and everything is just so real, and the ocean, etc. And the animals that are moving about, they occupy this natural environment. And then you've got all this other stuff. You've got the blacktop, the sidewalks, the buildings, the businesses or whatever. Again, where does that fit in realistically? But at the same time, we're okay with it because this is how it is. This is this dementia. This is this dementia dimension that has been created, okay? And so we deal with it. But yet there's something much better. But again, presenting what we do to the world, this is the adventure. This is just how it is, just like Robin Hood, robbing from the rich, giving to the poor. It's a challenge, and some of his guys died or were hurt or whatever. This is always a challenge with what we're doing to stay busy here, to confront and wake up. Confrontation equals waking up. It really does, because all these lifetimes that we've just agreed to the system, agreed to be passive, agreed to obey everything, guess what? We stayed asleep. It is only when we have the advantage like we do now of this knowledge and the real guides here that, hey, we can step out and we can creatively present this and at the same time deal with it because we get the confrontation. So yes, Charles, we're not here to change the world. We know what the world is. We know what the world agrees to. So I would suggest take all your time and let others know to creating something that makes sense with what has already been created here, or try and make sense of it, because again, the world is always going to be what it's going to be, and it's going to get worse. It gets worse every moment. And it's not going to get better. It's not because there's going to be a new election coming and somebody in office is going to do something. No, these people are all bought off, and the news out there, it's all baloney. It's all a setup. This is a big stage. You're on a big stage. Oh, the United States says this. Trump says this about Iran or these other countries in North Korea. Hey, all these governments are in agreement to play their roles to keep the masses dumbed down and unaware. The issues are all fake. They create all these issues so that people stay concerned and stay unaware and distorted. That's why they create the issues. It's not that Korea is going to blow up the United States and all these things. No, all these governments are in agreement to keep the fear factor going so everybody's afraid and distorted. It's all fake issues. All of it is fake. This is what they do every day. It's the only way they can keep the masses where they are. So us individually, we decide what we're going to do. So again, I just gave the idea. Yes, and one more time, we are fine with everything. We support the natural environment that supports us. It's just that simple. Yes, very simple. And from there, hey, have fun with doing something wonderful out there. Get up and do it, because your 9-to-5 job ain't going to last long. Besides, you're basically working for the cabal. It's like, when are you going to decide to, wake up all the way and stand 100% and figure out a real position? Each person can do that. They really can. So, yes, thank you for asking, Charles.